Hi, my name is Robert Serafini. I'm a Monroeville resident. Once again, I'd like to talk about the Bel Air pool, which is on the second page, Ordinance B. I have a couple more questions. Can I address Mr. Yugas here for a minute?
Technically, you should be addressing me, Bob.
I know, but okay. How close is the Bel Air pool in close proximity to the Turnpike?
That would be a Hugus question, sorry.
I would say the parking lot portion of it is probably, 100 feet, 150 feet from the edge of the Turnpike.
And how much of that, I'm just asking, if they made that a third lane of the Turnpike, how much of that would infringe upon the pool?
I have not seen the design drawings from the Turnpike Commission to tell you how much of it would be used.
Bob, I've seen the drawings, but not there. I understand they're adding way more than a third lane. They're adding an inner lane next to the barrier that you can pull off if you have trouble. Then they're adding a third lane of travel and then another berm. So they're doubling the size of the Turnpike.
So it actually would infringe upon that property?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's just not,
If you go out past, I call it the New Kent exit.
yeah.
Where that Turnpike widens out, that's what's coming our way. And again, there's a pull-off lane next to the Jersey barrier. They're taking the Turnpike from 2 to 3 lanes and then another berm.
Okay.
So
So-
they're doubling the size of it.
So they're really going whole hog. Okay. Who made the first contact regarding the sale? Was it the Turnpike Commission or us? I am addressing you, Mayor.
Well,
Tim?
Bob, as I mentioned to you on Thursday evening, I was contacted about 13 months ago by the Turnpike Commission, and we had a subsequent meeting a couple weeks later, and they had a proposal in their hand at that point.
Okay. May I have an appointment with you to see all the contact between the two of them?
Sure. Yeah, that's no problem.
I'll set
All
up
public
some,
documents.
I'll call your office and set something up with you. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, here's something that was brought up on Thursday, and it just kept being sort of like pushed aside. Is the money going to be put into a separate account? I want a yes or no, not the fact that we're going to deal with this later. We're going to, if and when the pool is sold, is the money going to be put in a separate account?
If you want my opinion, Bob.
I want a yes or no. That's all I want.
Bob, I'm trying to get to it.
Okay?
I wasn't here Thursday, as you know, I was at the county meeting, okay? But in my opinion, I think it just should go into the general fund. It's money gonna be spent. You all will know where it's gonna go. It isn't like it's not
See, it was-
secret stuff.
You were not here, but a couple of people asked if it was going to be put in a separate account.
Well, see, again, I didn't.
May I talk, please?
Sure.
We mentioned it was going to be in a separate account, and the 3 times it was brought up, Mr. Little sort of like sidestepped the issue and said it's not even put up for sale yet, the money's not received yet, and I can understand this.
Well, technically,
But
it's not.
I'm still talking, Mayor.
Please.
Would you allow me to continue?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Now, when I stated the fact, I wanted a yes or a no, is it going to be put into a separate fund? I don't care when you get the money you're talking about, even if it's at the end of the year. Is it going to be in a separate fund? Or you have other ideas for it?
Are you asking me, Bob?
Yes, that's what I addressed.
Okay. Well, I'll answer that question this way. Ultimately, if it's going to be put into a separate fund, council can direct me on if they wish it that way.
Because, see, once again, you avoided the question. I wanted a yes or a no. Are you going to do it? Because a couple
I'm
of
going to do it.
Wait a minute. A couple of the people brought it up, and they said they would put in a separate fund. And you said hasn't gone up for sale yet? We haven't gotten the money yet? And I just want, if and when you get the money, would you put in a separate fund?
I don't see a problem putting it in a separate fund, in my opinion.
And if I may, I stated last week that that money should be put in a separate fund.
I know
because
you
it
did,
was
Steve,
It
yeah.
was related to the parks.
A couple other people did too, but
And possibly we could put that money back into the parks. If not, then it would go back in the general fund.
Yes.
I don't have an issue with that. But I feel that it is part of the park program, or that it should remain there.
because a lot of people have called me and stated the fact, this is a very important item. I mean, so, I mean, I'll call Mr. Little up, set up an appointment with him, and get all the correspondence. But I one day, he still hasn't answered the question I brought up, yes or no.
You want me to answer the question?
That's who I addressed
Whether
it
or not
to.
to put the money into a separate fund?
Yes,
Bob, the only way I can answer that, I'll do what council directs me to do.
Well, I asked
Okay, that's.
Thursday that it be put in a fund, and I thought we were in agreement
You guys
with
can
it.
vote on it tonight.
Well, the money
Because
may not even be
I
in
said
till
it
after
should be
first
on the
year, there could
agenda
be new people
for
sitting
tonight's
up here.
meeting, because we're voting on it. So we should know where the money's going to go.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be on the agenda.
Okay,
You can-
well,
No,
well, what we're gonna do is, if council's okay, Bob, can I put this on the agenda now and get a voice call on it, or wait till we get to
Why don't you
that?
get to that portion
We'll
of
get to
the
that
meeting?
partial and then we'll figure it out.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Once again, I'll leave the floor open for anybody that would like to address. Again, agenda items only. Please try to keep your comments to 5 minutes.
I'm already signed in. I'm Bertie Bernardi. I'm a resident of Monroeville. I was here on Thursday talking about the closure of Bel Air and some of my thoughts on what to do with that money. And I had a sort of a presentation to give about an outdoor water park and aquatic center to put in at the pool, at the Monroeville Park. But I think what I'd like to ask is that as a representative of Bel Air and as the president of the Monroeville Marlins, and I know we have probably each of the local pools represented. Haymaker, Park, is Park here? Garden City? So all 4 local pools are also here, and I think we're all united in asking that this money be set aside, the sale of Bel Air be set aside until we at least have an opportunity to investigate other opportunities for this money relating to the parks and relating to replacement of a public pool. Or the money came from the sale of a park and a pool. I think we all think it should stay with the parks.
Thank you for your opinion.
I agree.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'll keep the floor open for any agenda, comments on the agenda, proposed agenda items only, I should say.
Okay, hi, my name is ELISA Beck, and I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other about what the property is used for, but I would like to speak to the issues that the 2 people just brought up. One is, I think it's critical before you vote on an ordinance that we, the people, the citizens, including you that are the citizens here, know what it is that the money will be used for. And so I would propose that a task force be put together with citizens and council people to put out that document before it's voted on, because there's a group here who really want a pool there. I understand that. I've lived here for a long time, 25 years, and the pools are, kind of crumbling. I get that. But I'm also concerned, who owns the gas rights under that piece of property?
At Bel Air Pool?
I doubt that anybody knows that off the top of their
I
head.
don't think so.
Okay, so I think it's absolutely 1,000% critical. We know who owns all levels of gas rights, because that piece of property is adjacent to what 4/10 of a mile from that property over into Westmoreland County, I'm going to look at my councilman for this, is going to be developed into fracking wells, which we share the same airspace and water space with. And so it is critical, and in my view, and I hope the people here support me, the other people that would normally be here from Sustainable Monroeville are at a meeting in the Plum Municipal Building where I just came from. You know, I'm real concerned about the gas industry. They were
That's
holding.
not on our agenda, honey. We have to stay with
Well,
the proposed agenda
okay,
items.
the proposed agenda item that I'm asking about is that this be tabled for tonight. Because if we don't know who owns the gas rights, and we want to protect, your job is to protect the health and wellness of the citizens of Monroeville, Pennsylvania, we need to know what all levels of gas rights are. That's Marcellus, that's Utica, and that's superficial. And we need to know specifically a budget, speaking to the first gentleman and the second gentleman. You know, we the people need to have public meetings so that we can help decide what the stuff is going to be used for. Is it going to be a pool? Is it going to be a nature preserve? Is it going to be a biodynamic farm? Is it going to be a training center to show people how to transform the municipality into something that gives back to the earth rather than extracting? That's all I want to say, but I think you should seriously consider tabling this. I don't think it's been thought out very thoroughly. Thank you.
Once again, I'll leave the floor open for any public comment on the proposed agenda items only. Seeing none, we'll close that portion of the meeting. Council conducted an executive session for personnel and litigation reasons before.
Excuse me if I didn't stand up quick enough. I'd like to address about the pool.
Is it about the point? Is it you're going to say the same thing?
No.
Come on up. And then we'll be closed after this comment.
You have to sign your name in, please.
Oh, are you going to, well, let's put it this way. Go ahead, sign in. If you have other comments, you can come up. But if you're going to say the same thing,
No.
then just pick one.
I'm,
Again, this is a business. I mean, I know you're certainly your meeting, but please, just for time's sake, for your sake, if it's the same thing,
It's
I'm,
stand,
no, it's not.
ma'am, stand to the side right in front
Oh,
of
I'm
us.
sorry.
There you go. That'll
state your name
help.
for the record.
Okay, my name is Lynn Candee, and myself and a lot of other people that always go to Bel Air Pool feel that you are making a serious mistake because you don't realize what a selling point the pool is as far as attracting new residents into the community. It's a very special place, I think, because it is in a park. It's peaceful. It just, you know, there are not enough happy places left in the world today, and I just can't understand why you want to take this away from us.
We didn't put it up for sale.
Well, that's what it says in here. But you sold it.
We didn't sell it yet.
The issue,
Turnpike's taking it.
That's not what I have been told by someone
Ma'am.
who works for the
Ma'am.
Turnpike.
the issue is this. If we didn't sell it to the Turnpike, they would take it by eminent domain, and there would not be any funds exchanged and put back into Monroeville. That's the bottom line. So if you understand what eminent domain is.
Yes, I do.
Okay, that's the way it would have fallen out in the final portion of it.
don't have a choice. Just so everybody knows, that is not true. There's not eminent domain coming on the property.
No, right now it's not, but it could have
And
happened.
it's never been proposed that I'm aware of. If you all go back about a month and a half ago, we did say that up here, but we were given wrong information. The correct information is they want to acquire the land because they are expanding. Everybody that works on or uses the Turnpike, that's a good thing. Yeah, it takes our pull, but there is no eminent domain that I'm aware of. Matter of fact, I'm going to even talk a little bit about what KDKA apparently said that I said. That is not true. There is no eminent domain that
I
I'm
apologize.
ever saying.
So we don't
I
have
need to ask the question then. Why are we selling it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
The bottom line is, it is up to you all. They've asked,
You as
everybody's accepted it. Now, all of a sudden, Steve, you didn't argue it when it first came up.
No, it was presented to me, don't say that. It
I'm
was
gonna say
presented to
because
me
that's what
that there
it
was
said.
eminent domain.
And that was straightened out.
Okay, well, I was unaware of that. As a sitting councilman, I was unaware that there is no eminent domain presented.
Well,
So why sell it?
well, again, this is up to this seating council to do that. Now, the Turnpike has asked, we have a great relationship with them. They need the expansion.
What's our great relationship with them? I'm not privy to that.
He voted you in.
Well, I'm sorry that you don't.
I mean, what is our great
Well,
relationship?
it's with the state people in our county, and we have good
Okay.
relations with all of them.
Okay.
But it's up to the council. You guys decide what you want to do with that when the ordinance comes up.
I want to be honest to the public. And
Well,
if
I'm
there's
trying to.
no eminent domain, then what is the discussion?
Any other comments, ma'am? I'm
No,
sorry.
that's
I
basic.
apologize
That's
for
all
us
right.
getting into it up
That's
here.
all right. I really wish, thank you,
You're
that you
welcome,
would
but I mean, I'm
reconsider
confused.
this, because we've been hearing very different stories, I guess you could say. And what it boils down to, what we heard is that Monroeville no longer wants to be in the pool business. So if Bel Air is sold, you are not planning on doing a replacement pool.
You could never afford it. It costs millions to do that.
Never say never.
That's right.
Where are you going to get the money? You willing to get raise taxes?
Did
so
we
you
get
can
an
have a pool?
estimate? Did we get an estimate that I
Fundraisers.
requested? Mr. Manager?
Wait, folks. One at a time. Go ahead, finish your.
No, I mean, they're basically saying what a lot of us feel.
Mr. Mayor, you had a question.
Go ahead, Steve.
Last week, I did request that we get an estimate, just so that people would know what it would cost to install a pole at our park that originally was supposed to have a pole installed. But they
Yeah,
ran
well-
out of funds or whatever happened back then.
Well, I think all those funds were spent on putting the big community park in. There wasn't any.
That's what I'm
funds for
talking
that,
about. But there, on the blueprints, there was supposed to be a
There's no
pole or a
question
water
that's true.
park or
That is absolutely
whatever.
true.
And I was just curious if we got any estimates.
Staff's working on it.
Well, when
Okay.
it comes up.
How's that?
I just wish you would reconsider. I truly do.
Yeah, no. I think we will wait till it's time for that to come up.
Okay.
Thank
for
you.
your- Please sign in. State your name for the record.
My name's Elizabeth Cubitt. I was born in Monroeville. I'm living in McKeesport now, but my kids
You
go to
cannot-
school-
I'm sorry.
You cannot make any
Oh,
comments.
really though? I have my whole
Yeah, you
family.
cannot, ma'am.
All right, but I will say, Bel Air Pool's the only pool that low-income families can go to. Truly. Everyone else, you need
Ma'am,
a
you have to
membership,
be seated,
Thank you.
please. Thank
or you
for
need to
your-
know someone.
Really quick.
My name is Julio Mara. I live in Alpine Village. Been a member at Bel Air since my first child could participate. I propose that we don't even consider selling the pool, since it's not. I mean, there's no imminent domain, threat here. I don't see why we're talking about selling the pool. Perhaps we should take a look at what it costs to maintain the pool right now as it is. What are the costs associated with running the pool? As the young lady before me stated, it's a Monroeville municipality community pool. It's accessible to low-income families. You don't have to be a member, resident of Monroeville. You can visit the pool. I just don't see why we're even talking about selling it. The other thing, I have concerns about dealings with the Turnpike. I mean, we're talking about an organization here recently that has missed payments to the state. I mean, is there a guarantee that they're going to pay the municipality? I mean, have you gotten that assurance that they would make that payment? You're talking about a commission that's in a tremendous amount of debt, and you're talking about a sale. You're going to see that money? Is the municipality going to see?
Just to straighten out on the Turnpike, you know, the Turnpike makes enough money that they actually can pay for all their salary, benefits, et cetera. What happened is the PennDOT makes them give, orders them through the governor, I guess, I assume in legislation, they have to give them $500 million a year. That's why the Turnpike, you're saying, is in debt. They're not really in debt. They have to give $500 million each and every year for what
they may not be in jeopardy of going into bankruptcy at this time, but
I just wanted you to know that.
But when you see on the news that they're missing payments to the state for
well,
whatever,
that's that $500 million.
It's concerning, that you're going to try to.
Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
Just not to stop you from talking. I can tell you right now, going back and forth here with council, when this comes up, for all you people, and not you can come up here and talk all night as far as I'm concerned, we're going to table it. So we're going to table it and we're going to talk about it. So just relax. We are going to do it. To give you a heads up, not to stop you, just to give you a heads up. What's going to happen as soon as it comes up.
And that's all I wanted to say. I mean, I travel that Turnpike, and I don't know how many of you guys and ladies travel that. And, it's not the best road to travel on. And I hate to give up our property for something that every year there's a new 10-year project being rolled out. And I've been traveling that thing since I moved from Philadelphia. And to be honest, I haven't seen any improvement. So I would hate to give up.
Well, it's definitely improving.
Yeah, okay. I suppose compared to some of the other roads in the country, I think we still got a long way to go. And I would hate to give up our pool and our community for the beautification of something that's ever going and never ending. So that's all I got to say.
My name's Kelly.
Did you sign in?
I got it.
Oh, okay.
I've lived in Monroeville my whole life, born here, grew up here, still live and work in Monroeville. Grew up swimming at Bel Air, working at Bel Air, and now I take my family, my daughter, to Bel Air. The only thing I ask from the council is for clarity and honesty. Because we have a council member that didn't even know that, we have council members that don't know things. Not only is the community not aware of what's actually going on and being fully informed, we have council members that are eminent domain, yes, no, are we, aren't we? And then residents are asking for yes or no answers, and they keep getting passed around. So all I would like is some truth and some honesty, because yes, there's a lot of rumors going around the community about what this council is or isn't willing to do. And it's not anything overly positive. So if we'd like to improve upon those relations, then it would be nice if we could share facts with everyone.
Well, I didn't know that there was bad feelings out there. You guys are always welcome here at every council meeting to come up and address us. Now, when you have issues, you have people coming. But let's be honest, about 80%, 90% of our meetings, we might have 2 residents here.
Correct.
Bob Serafini's here in almost every meeting. He can attest to that. So please, come and see us if you think we have it, if we're not doing what you're bidding right.
Some of us watch on TV.
But come here. I'm not going to know your thoughts on TV.
You're right. Good point.
Right.
Hi. My name is Nancy Philpott. I live in the 4th Ward. And I just have a couple questions about the Bel Air. One, is there a difference between a condemnation process and an eminent domain process? Mr. Ratcher, is that something you could help us with?
There is no difference.
Exactly.
Condemnation is the vehicle by which eminent domain powers are exercised.
Okay, so the fact that the ordinance states condemnation, is that not the same as eminent domain then?
It is. It is, like I say, it's how you exercise the power of eminent domain if you're a government entity that has that power.
So as the Turnpike Commission is exercising the condemnation process, does Monroeville have a choice as to whether or not they give up that land?
What the Turnpike does is when they want land from somebody, they go to that person and they try to negotiate without using their condemnation powers because it's costly for everybody involved. If they are not able to make a deal with the property owner to the liking of both parties, both them and the land that they would like to acquire, then they either redesign their project to not use that property or they use their powers of eminent domain.
Okay. So the fact that if we did not negotiate this sale of $900,000 for that property, the state could exercise the condemnation process?
They could indeed,
They
yes.
could?
Yes,
No, I'm
they
not
could.
saying they would, but they
Yeah,
could.
no, they could. Or they could decide, you know what, we're going to reconfigure it, we're going to go the other way, we're going to do this
And if they
whatever.
did exercise the condemnation, would Monroeville, in your opinion, get $900,000 for the property?
I probably am not qualified to say that. There would be some value, there would be something.
Some value,
they
but
would owe.
probably not that much, huh?
That value would be determined by a group called the Board of Viewers, which is a government body that reviews, they get appraisals, they listen to the arguments, and then they say, okay, this property's worth this amount of money.
So the fact that the council has considered the Turnpike's offer of $900,000 is actually the council making lemonade out of lemons? I think it's, you're either going to lose it at a low value or you're going to sell it at a better value.
Well, that's a possibility. That's the reality of the situation.
I just want to say, I know that you're really getting bashed on Keep Bel Air, keep Bel Air, and I understand wanting to have a pool. I really, really do. But I also know that when you're dealing with a government entity such as the Turnpike, you don't have a lot of options. And the fact that you're actually getting that much money for that property, I think it's...
Nancy, if I can add to what you're saying, and Kelly, where's Kelly? And Kelly wanted to deal in facts, which is true, we have to deal in facts. And what Nancy is laying out here is basically some of the facts, all right? We have...
facts in my class, I get it. I totally do. That's why I didn't say you have to save the pool. All I said is that we should all be informed and honest with each other.
And totally agree with that. Under the Turnpike, we had the opportunity to have a second evaluation on the property. And we took advantage of that, and the Turnpike paid for it. And the second evaluation was much, much, much lower.
So, so from that point of
So-
view, I think, and the request for transparency, I think that would probably be saving you some grief right now if it was a little bit more transparent. But I also have some other questions.
Sure.
How long before, once the ordinance is approved to sell the pool, how long before the closing process? How long before you close and actually get the money?
Nancy, from September the 2nd, if the ordinance is passed this evening, from September the 2nd, we have 90 days to close on it.
90 days to close from September the 2nd. So we're talking at least, 4, 5, almost 6 months out there to decide what to do with $900,000. I can appreciate why you can't say yes or no to a separate fund because, I don't think any of you have a crystal ball. So I trust that if it goes into the general fund, it will still be spent appropriately down the road.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I trust that.
Thank you.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Mayor, I have a question for Mr.
Sure.
Hatcher. Bob, if there's no eminent domain, which I've just been told, correct?
I don't think we know if there's going to be any eminent domain.
I
think it's assumed whenever the Turnpike goes to acquire property or, any government body that has that power, the implication always is if they want it for a particular purpose. And you're not able to make a deal with them to sell it in an arm's length transaction, that they might use the eminent domain process to acquire it. I don't know that that's an absolute. That it's not gotten that far because, as I explained to the last speaker, the first thing that the Turnpike tries to do is negotiate a sale price if they want the land, not use the eminent domain process.
Yes.
So the only question is...
However, the option is available to them.
It is, yeah,
Yes.
it is.
as far as this ordinance goes.
Well, it's available to them just generally. I mean,
Right,
if,
right,
if,
but-
if you all decide tonight, no, we're not gonna do this, we're not gonna sell it, then the only question is, what's the Turnpike's next move?
Right, right.
That's what it comes down to.
Right, and they're sort of in the, they have a problem with expanding their turnpike from Monroeville to
Irwin.
Irwin.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to, if they're not gonna use that property, they have to find other property to make the design work.
Right.
And we have no idea what they're doing with other property owners along that corridor, whether or not,
Right, right.
you know, they're negotiating
Right.
with them or not.
But for all intents and purposes, they need that property in order to improve the turnpike.
They need property, obviously, to widen the turnpike. They don't have enough right of way. So
Right.
they do need property. Whether they need that property or not is another matter. They probably do.
And how much of it do they need?
Yeah.
Right, right. So, but bottom line is, if we say no, they could come in with the condemnation portion of their rights.
Yes, yes.
As a
they-
government agency.
Correct. Correct.
And just say, okay, folks, we're taking it anyway.
Yes.
So, okay. So did everybody hear that?
What's the time frame on that?
Well, the time frame is, I don't know, like, what is the time frame? Good question.
I don't think any of us know their time frame.
Okay.
I would
And
think
at
it's
this-
probably in the next couple of years.
Right.
And if I'm hearing correctly, they're not even asking for eminent domain. They're asking for a sale of property. So at that point, they're not even saying, we're going to take it. We're
Right.
looking for property
Right.
to buy.
Exactly.
Excuse me, can you give
You're
me-
absolutely
I'm sorry,
right.
I was just.
I know.
Samantha
Sorry.
Estromera, sorry.
Thank you.
I was
She's
just
typing like this.
I'm sorry,
I don't know
Samantha
who she is.
Estromera.
I'm sorry.
Estromera, Samantha.
And you
You're-
are
you-
Monroeville
you're absolutely
resident.
Did you
Right.
write your name on the, thank you very much.
I'm
You're
sorry.
absolutely right. However, if we choose not to sell it to them, they have that option.
They have that option, right. And I understand that, but what I'm saying is they haven't even approached that they are pushing to go that route. They're
Well, if
looking
they
for
ask you to
property.
sell, they are looking
They're
down that
looking
route.
for property.
They're-
Right,
Yes, and they're
right.
looking
Right.
down that
They're
road,
looking to
and
buy
we
that
have to
property.
decide if we want to make money for the municipality off of it, or maybe not.
But is it to make money? We're not selling to make money, because then that means we are going out of the pool business from what we've been hearing out here. That's not the point of the
There's still
sale.
4 pools in Monroeville.
They're private. They're not good for the lower socioeconomic people out there. They are not, they're private. They have to get a membership to go. They do not have access to those pools unless they purchase the memberships. Bel Air, you can go on a day-to-day basis. Anyone in the community can go. There is a difference.
I
And
have
on-
something to say to that, but Mr. Harvey, you wanted to say something.
Ever since the Turnpike expansion project started, the Turnpike has invited elected officials to come to periodic meetings, and they're typically at the council chambers in Plum. And when we get there, I've attended every one of them. And when we get there, they have giant boards up that are aerial photographs of the Turnpike with certain colored lines on them showing you what they plan on doing. One of the reasons why I was consistently going there, besides it coming through Monroeville, is a lot of it comes through my ward. And, for example, the Center Road Bridge, the Beatty Road Bridge by the campus, and the old William Penn Bridge are all gone. They're all getting replaced, and, it's going to cause some inconveniences. Anyways, moving down the line, I can tell you, in speaking with honesty as they want, that they hadn't had a direct route up until recently after our interchange. Because they're coming from
took
the
it off.
west. Yes. So once they got, I apologize, the bridge that's on Northern Pike that goes to number 4 Fire Company, that's how I relate to it, that's going too. And that's about where they stopped. I think they're even taking
They're
some of
taking,
number 4's
taking
property.
side of the fire station, the whole way up to it, and part of that property.
Right about there is where it stopped, and I haven't had any discussion with the Turnpike until this started, and I really haven't talked to the Turnpike, they talked to us. And as the solicitor said, I think they were just making an offer rather than slapping eminent domain rights
Right,
down
they're
on
making
us.
an offer, they're looking for property, they're looking to weigh options that they have.
Right.
So for us to not table this and see what options are out there or what benefits Monroeville the best, I believe, is what we're concerned about. Yes, we'd love to save Bel Air, but that's not always an option, and we understand that. The reason I came up here is for two reasons. One, and this could have been mentioned in the past, I'm not sure, I haven't heard all the meetings on this, but what is the money in Bel Air's account that the municipality has? Is it a surplus? Is there money there already? Are we losing money every year?
It's pretty much break even, pretty much
Okay,
break
so
even,
we're
but maybe a
breaking
little
even.
loss.
No, breaking even, and some years we lose.
Yes.
Okay, so let's
there's
just
no
say we're not at a deficit at this pool.
No, I think
And
that's
if we
fair.
did work at building the pool up, we could break even or have a surplus, correct?
Everything's
Because,
possible.
I mean, truly, in the past years, I've been the swim team coach at Bel Air for 5 years now. My children and I have been attending the pool for 15, myself, 13, 14, 15 years with my children. And I just know that over the years, it has gotten better. And that many years ago, they talked about closing it because there was no money for it, but they got funding. And the funding then supported the growth of that pool, and the numbers have increased. The people have increased coming. The daycares are bringing their kids on bus loads to have places to bring in the children that can then swim as well. I'm there every day. Not every day, but feels like every day. But I am there, and I do know that it is an asset to have in your community a place for kids to go to be together, to socialize, not on internet, not on their phones, not on their devices, but interacting. There's a basketball court there that they can play on, a playground that they are there. It's a party room that people have parties at. It's a swim team. It is also not just a swim team that you have kindergarten kids, actually we'll go down to 3-year-olds because there have been 3-year-olds on my team, all the way up to 18 that are family oriented, that are learning life skills that we're going to take this pool out and not think about the possibility of putting another one in or making one of the private pools, buying them and saying, hey, let's make this the public pool.
No,
Well, that's how it started.
I presented that idea
Yes.
of taking a sizable chunk of that money and giving grants to the community pools as long as they opened it to the public.
To the public. It
Yes.
has to go to the public
But-
because being private, you're not meeting all the.
So there was a
avenues.
That's
condition to
been
that
an
grant
idea.
money.
That's been tossed around between the council members.
So we have been thinking about.
That's
and
one of my
I'm
concerns
talking about like
because I have children here and
$20,000,
I just feel that
$30,000 a
Monroeville
pool.
has not always met reached out to the families that have kids with sports and stuff. It sort of is not like other communities around. And people are going to start seeing that and move other places with their
Well,
families.
we send out brochures every season
I get
with
them.
programming.
I get them, but what I'm saying is it's limited in a sense. Some stuff is limited, and not everybody is out there doing it. And if you take the pool away where there are people, or it's like taking the park away, the baseball fields away, or the basketball fields that are still not completed up at the park. There's all these things that, cause, yes, we need money for it, but selling and then thinking we'll just put it in the general fund and not even think about giving back to that spot in the community, that needed area, is concerning.
To let you know, I mean, this isn't like the first time we thought of this, okay?
No,
And-
I agree. Like I said, I've not
And then
been
on top of that
everywhere.
agenda is the people that come up to you and say, you need to use that for some of the capital projects and the infrastructure to get
Oh,
this stuff
sure.
done.
Apologize.
So trying to accomplish everything,
I understand.
because I don't think there's anybody that sits up here against.
No, and we just need to
No.
have it known that our voice is out there and heard, and that we are being, heard and
Right.
things being
So-
done about stuff.
I was going to wait, and Mr. Harvey, may I?
Sure.
Nick Reese, our mayor, has sent an email out just here to, and I guess it's out there, to some of the private pools. What we want to do is, what he'd like to do is get couple council and the mayor and myself to sit down and talk to the pools to see if they would be willing to open it up to day passes, to as well as just the season, and we would be willing to give some money, funding, and probably do it on a consistent basis. But this is so preliminary.
Well,
Now,
it's
for the
preliminary
swim-
because it's not even sold yet.
Well, that's
Thank
right.
you.
No, and I
You're
understand
right,
that.
right.
I'm not asking where the money goes. I just am saying that if you're thinking about that sale, the option for the land is they want land. Is it really specifically this land?
Yes.
Well, apparently it is.
Apparently
if
it
they don't
is.
get it,
They
could
didn't
there
give
be
us like an
another
A, B,
choice?
and C.
No, they're not
You
going
know,
to give you an A,
Right.
B, and C.
So
They're going
you're
to give you
asking
the
is
first
that-
option
I'm
that
just
they
telling
want.
you that,
I
that was the
understand.
option taken.
And then let me finish for the swim teams, like for the Marlins and all that. The JCC, as you know, our Jewish community park here in my ward, the 5th ward, they've been talking to us for the last couple of years and would like us to work with them, and they wanted to open it up. Now, obviously, it wouldn't work the way they would like to see it work, because we can only take the pool from 4 o'clock on. But my understanding is sometimes in the evenings, more times than not, that the swim teams do swim in the evening. If we could work that out with them, that's an Olympic-sized pool, there'd be no issue with that.
But is it going to be open to the community?
Yeah, that's what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
At
that's
the
what-
price that
that's the
JCC is right now?
Well-
I mean, I've looked into JCC myself. I've looked into all the private pools. Personally, I like Bel Air the best.
Well,
That's why I'm there,
we're
but-
getting back to, we're gonna give the pools some funding. Well, that was the plan.
Well, the bottom line is, just like we all said, this is such at the beginning stage. We have choices, and this council has to make that choice. They can agree with this ordinance, or they don't. If we don't, we stand a chance of losing it, and there'll be either no money or much less money. So this is something that they need to think about. This is something they will vote on either way.
You as well, sir.
Mayor, I have a
Sir.
question.
Sure.
For Mr. Little. Tim, let's say, for example, they don't take that property for an additional year, for another year. Okay? And will Bel Air be available if they don't take that property? Will we be able to keep Bel Air afloat if they don't take that property during that period of time?
Did we not ask for an extra year, Mr. Little, and they
I thought
denied
we
us?
did, yeah.
We did ask for more time,
turned
and they
us down.
denied us.
They gave us this year.
Yes.
They wouldn't
Yeah,
give
To
us.
give us some time to try to figure out if we were going to do it, what we were going to do, to try to give the public some options, let them know it was going to come, for us to decide what we could do to help the
Well,
public.
Tim has an
with
answer
this.
for us here.
It
Well, no,
was-
that is, I
they
mean, we
said no.
did. I mean, what the public doesn't understand is this council has been dealing and contemplating this whole decision for a year. And nothing has come forth to the public as of yet because there were certain issues, and one of the issues that we're talking about right now, about how much longer do we want to keep the Bel Air pool open? Do we want to sell the property? There's a trail that comes down. We have a trail easement that's going across it that will connect, coming down from Heritage Park down to the Westmoreland Heritage Trail.
That had to be
And all of
looked at.
those things, when you're dealing with an entity like the Turnpike Commission, they take time. So one of the questions, as Mrs. Gatos just mentioned, is would we have another year other than this year? And the answer to that was no. So that answers your question, Mr. Wilson.
They were giving us the property for the trail though, correct?
Yes.
Yes, we did get that. And that's been part of this process.
Well, that's basically, I just wanted to indicate about the community and how it does pull in. So if you're considering the sale and it does happen, please propose, put it out there that it is something that would benefit the community to continue to have a pool somewhere here that is community operated.
Right.
Well, and I would like all the other pools to open up their minds to considering, if this does happen again, I'll say it from this side, if we decide to sell that pool, the other pools will consider opening up their doors and memberships to the residents and not stay private.
But a lot needs to be considered at that point as well.
There's a lot to be considered on both sides and all the way around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
brief. My name is Lisa Mears. I live in Ward 6. Mr. Wilson, can you hear me?
Yes.
Short. What you guys have said this evening sounds somewhat encouraging, but if you've just said that we've known about this for a while, if I'm selling property, I want to know what the value of it is. Does anybody there know what the value
Yes.
of that
Yes.
property is?
Yes.
And what is that value?
Less than what we're being offered.
Way less.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Do we have an exact figure?
I'm
or
gonna
no?
guess, and help me out, Tim, was it about 240?
No.
No.
4.
450.
Oh, 450, I'm sorry.
Now, too, of course, there is the value that is not monetarily that other people have already discussed. Now, not my direct experience, but what I have seen with the Turnpike, sounds like the ball was in our court. Why can we not play hardball with them a little bit? And see, we're rolling the dice. Maybe they will use condemnation and stuff like that. But maybe they might find another alternative. And the thing that I have seen here with the Turnpike, too, is those properties. You talked about the bridges over there that they're talking about taking, and they've already said to people along those homes along that one stretch there. You know how long ago that was? It's been 5 years. Nothing has been done. If we go ahead and say that there's nothing done, we close this pool, we could have kept it open for another 5 years. So that's something to consider.
Well,
like I
Plum Aqua Pool is also
Well,
gone.
yeah.
Did you see
Yes,
that?
yes,
Yeah,
yes, that's
okay.
one's, and we're
So
on
there's-
that one's on the
yeah.
other side.
Yes, so there's.
So yeah,
But
they
it's the
probably
same-
could have
There's your
stayed
other
open
side of
as
the
well.
quarter.
Well, they are
It's-
doing some work down there.
They've been expanding the same,
Plum Aqua's
you have
pool
to-
was sold.
Yes.
Plum Aqua's
You
pool.
can, no, you have to talk up here. You
can't.
have to come up here.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Coach.
no, I was going to
just
say, I
gonna
mean,
say
if we,
Plum Aqua's pool was sold, but they still had a whole year after the sale before it closed. So for Turnpike not to be offering us that, we're not getting what Plum got.
But we,
in the context of the Turnpike project, okay, the limiting factors for the expansion of the Turnpike aren't even close to us. They were the two things, they were the bridges over the Susquehanna and the bridges over the Allegheny, that they finally, how long did it take to make those wide? The goal is 3 lanes on each side. We're kind of the last section to be done. They can,
Inside and outside berm.
but
Yes.
inside and outside burn to be safe to meet the things that the Turnpike in 1933 did not meet, okay, when they took the railroad right away to do this. If you look already, including Plum Aqua,
Yes.
if you look along towards Irwin, okay, going eastbound, they've already started to lumber and clear.
Yeah,
I
I've
mean,
seen it because I
this is,
travel.
when
It's
we
moving.
think
I
in the
travel
context
fast.
of working,
Yeah.
yeah, if we, again, it's already started. In the context of a Turnpike project, okay, this is years ago in that decision. And to your point of these certain properties having been done, that doesn't mean that to them, it's not tomorrow. Okay, so, we're kind of been in a very difficult position here in terms of, A, the assessed value we talked about was much lower, the 450.
Does that include, like the other woman had brought up, if they're not gas rights, mineral rights, does that include?
Interesting
that?
point. I don't have the answer
Yeah.
for that point. Excellent point to find out. Part of the reason we're also considering that possibility to table the rest of this to obtain some of those answers. To do
that
that,
has
but
perhaps come up,
to
so.
reflect accurately, okay,
Yeah.
it's almost, if we don't begin to move forward very shortly, we're stuck with not much or something worth more value. Now, the rest of the conversation has been, what do we do with the money worth value? And I can assure you,
love
among
to
the
be on
7
board
of
with
us.
those discussions as
Right,
well,
among the
when
7
that
of us,
happens.
that too has been, well, we can do this, we can fix that, figure that out. And again, it's really a budgetary process.
Yes.
To look at it as well, whether it's a special fund, this is going to drive Mrs. Rock nuts with her, trying the
Like
way
I
we
said.
account for the fund. It's not the way municipal government has to be
Well,
accounted
you've
for.
heard from the community tonight, and like I said, the ball is in your guys' court. I just hope you have
Sure.
all of enough information to make a wise decision.
Which is
And
why
like
we
I
want to
said-
table
That's why we want
tonight.
to table the
Just want to
conversation.
explain to you real quickly that one of the reasons why you don't think there's any work going on in that property,
Uh-huh.
because the EPA, and you're all
Another point,
aware of it
right.
because of the mighty storm sewer MS4,
Yes.
That's a good point.
well, has tripled those requirements on the Turnpike. So the work they're doing up there to drain water properly is happening 6 months before you ever see any Turnpike work.
And let me tell you, them taking down those trees isn't going to help with the drainage either.
Well-
It's going to make
Well,
things
we don't
worse for
disagree
them.
with
They're
that.
taking them down and they're
Yes.
putting underground drainage in
Yeah.
And believe me, that their requirements are way more than
Yes, so,
they used to
like I
be.
said, we might be the little pea under the mattress, but I'd rather be the little squeaky mouse. And, let's raise a little noise, let's save this for our community if we can, and let's do what's best for everybody. So, thank you.
Well, we
Thank
thought
you.
we were.
Mhm.
My name's Nicole Weenan. I'm a resident at Maple Vista. I just have a couple questions. Being a proud member of Bel Air, I have the rumor mill come up to me quite often. One of my questions is, you had mentioned the programming books. What happens to all the park and rec programs that we house at Bel Air? Do you have a plan where that would be reinstated at another pool?
Well,
Or are they
would be
just
that would be part of the discussions. That's why we're saying there's so many. Once we make a decision, yes or no, there's so many other things that have to be addressed, and we're trying not to put the cart too far ahead of the horse. But of course, we have to ask some of those questions ahead of time, which is why we got this whole year of the pool being open before we even made our decision, and or would have the pool closed, because that would give us all the way till next summer to have some things worked out.
Because it seems like once those programs are gone, it goes and it backs Mrs. Estamera's statement that you're not really supporting the youth and the sports. Half of your programs in the summer involve the pool somehow. You have Learn to Swim, you have the camps coming over, you have MRBD.
Oh, we do, and we even do our own camps, and also, there's also the pool at the Gateway that we
Yes.
can maybe work some programming with them, and that's only if we would
There-
like to use the neighborhood pools.
There is
as
a
much
pool
as
at
possible.
Gateway, but that summer is their time to do maintenance. So
Yeah.
having it be available is a big risk.
There's
You
a
also
lot.
have- We're forgetting about Boyce Park as well.
Which was recently just
Let me ask you, we
closed.
thought we were
No,
doing-
it's open now.
we
It's
thought we were
open
doing
now,
three
but-
wise
They had a
men.
leak.
Yeah.
So what would you say if we turned them down and they came in and used their eminent domain power and gave us 400,000?
Well,
They can't hear you.
my question, one of the rumors is, and this is something that maybe one of you have more insight is, that Plum has yet to be paid. That the Turnpike still has yet to give Plum any money for their
I
property.
don't think any of us have any knowledge of that.
So if that's the case, unless they were taking eminent domain, rumor coming through the line is that Plum has yet to be paid.
I just think there's a lot of residents that would say, why didn't you take the deal while it was on the table? We're not giving up on pools and making community pools. That's not it at all.
Or a plan to address the issues.
Right,
I
we're
mean,
just trying to get
Yes.
The first,
the
really
best,
kind
the
of
best deal that's in front of us for the residents of Monroeville, and you may or may not think that, but that's true.
I mean, certainly we have to think, like, if someone came and offered me twice what my house is worth, do I take it or do I not? What's the best for me? We're trying to think of what is the best for everybody. And then if you make that decision, what do we now do to try to give back some of that? Because we all live here.
Right.
We're all part of this community. We want the same as you want.
And last year at this time, we as a pool were told that the pool was safe and that the parking lot would just have to be reconfigured. So at what point did it cross over?
Who said that?
Yeah, where did that come
At
from?
our registration meeting
With who?
Well, who told you that?
at Bel Air.
With who?
They told us.
Who's they?
The recreation staff?
Parks and Rec?
Well, that's why I'm asking her who told, because I don't remember a
Parking lot
discussion up
staff
here at all.
Told you that?
It was at the registration meeting for Bel Air, and it was just that it was when they were building the trail, and that it was just going to reconfigure our parking lot, and that our
That
pool
may
was
have had
safe.
to do with the
That
trail
was just
only
the
at that
trail.
time.
Yeah, this was something that, is this on? This was something that we had heard as a team, that if they were going to take land from Bel Air to widen the Turnpike, it would have involved taking they're going to have to take some of the cliff away to widen it, and that would have, there's a parking lot is what faces the Turnpike,
Yes.
and that's would be what would be taken, and if the entrance would move to the other
So
side.
correct me if
the pool could
I'm
remain
wrong,
open.
told
what you
you
just said, hold on a second, this was last year.
I don't actually remember
So you
the
said
I would like to
date
know
of
who
this.
said
Who
mean,
was
it's-
running the registration meeting?
Yeah.
Last year.
Me.
Last year. Who
This
told
is,
you?
this is what I heard.
From who?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
I mean,
well,
okay.
There we
But I
go.
mean, here,
this is how rumors get started.
last
Well, that's
year,
why
the
I
time
wanted
frame.
to ask the questions, because especially being a Bel Air member, everybody brings you conflicting information, so that.
Right.
Just asking a question.
we're just
Ma'am,
asking
that's
you-
fine.
No, we're trying to
That's-
find out where
that's why
the
I-
information's coming from, because we don't want you to get wrong information either.
Because it was registration for last year's pool season. That was before we knew about it.
Yeah,
Or
I-
we
Yeah.
were approached by
I've
the
been
Turnpike.
I've been telling Bel Air, the Barracudas team, almost at every registration for the last decade, that the pool isn't being sold because they never made an offer to sell. Other members of the community continually say, your pool's closing, your pool's closing. This is what we hear. So at these registration meetings, at the time, Sean Logan, I think, was still involved with the Turnpike, so I would email him and ask, you know, are they finally taking the pool? Are they not taking the pool?
That's going back a few years ago.
Yeah. And,
Yes.
And so, you know, his answer was always they have no interest in the pool at this time.
Well,
And that's what I
obviously, they
would-
did not at that
Right.
time, because we didn't hear about
And that's
it.
what I would reflect to
The
the
layout
members of
for
Bel
it.
Air at the
I mean,
registration
it's-
meeting.
Yeah.
To that point, and again, thank you for being proactive and explaining things to people. You have a concern with folks, I understand. Unfortunately, and before we've heard anything about it, and before it
Right,
came an
that's
approach
what-
to it
Yeah.
as well. Again, and then the Turnpike began the formal process to discuss it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and essentially, to boil the problem down, it was this or this.
So my only question, I guess, because of
There was
this
a cost.
decision is, has a eminent domain attempt ever been challenged and won?
It's not, oh, I don't know.
That's a legal question, kind of outside of the scope of our conversation
is.
for here. That's
Well,
for
if
the
you're going to
two.
decide 900 or 450 or maybe nothing, or if the chances are possible that you could fight and win and keep the land, that's a
Do you wanna
different
fight the
decision to make
Turnpike? Is that what
than
you're
just
saying?
money. Hmm?
You want to legally fight the Turnpike?
I don't know. I'm asking if
Yeah,
anyone's
that's-
ever
I mean-
challenged an eminent domain and won.
Well, I'm sure.
So, it's not just take the good money or the less money. There's also take the good money, take the less money, or challenge and win or lose.
And take no money?
Roll the
I'm
dice.
just
But
trying
see,
to figure out all the
we're
options.
we're doing the same thing. We've been doing the same thing. Roll out all the options and see what we think is
Right,
the best.
so-
As Mr. John said before, too, as the process comes up on the agenda this evening, obviously there's a number of questions we've been asked, okay, for the community. Moving forward with a rollout plan, okay, we need to do a better job with that too, of what would occur in the event of the property not being available. And as the other young lady that was just back up here before, the coach from. Thank you, ma'am.
Yep,
To-
there she
you know,
is.
it sounds like there's even those individuals that plan for that say, there's a very real possibility the facility may not be available, okay, to do that. And we'll try to do that. So, okay, we'll accept that responsibility. Maybe we haven't done the best job about thinking of those things down here. We still are faced with those very high-level, strategic decisions of what are we going to do about this now? Because, as I said before, look on the Turnpike. And at the fire company we belong to, at number 4, we already realize we've been the Turnpike residents for, neighbors since its inception. We're losing the side where we all park, where we come into. I mean, it's going to come right up next to the building. We don't have a choice.
Yeah.
We don't have
I
a choice.
think the reason that this is happening is because everyone was under the assumption that eminent domain was a done deal, and it was a bad decision not to take the 900,000.
Again, confusion, to do that too. But I think hopefully this has helped clear that up. But
Right.
again, we've discussed there's some other questions we don't have the answers to.
Yeah, so I think that's all they're asking for is
Sure.
what actually are
Fair
the
enough.
options?
Absolutely,
Is
fair enough.
fighting eminent domain an option? Is taking the
I
900,000 an
don't
option?
believe that is.
At this point, eminent domain is not an option.
Well, I don't believe fighting
No,
eminent
fighting
domain
it.
is an
He was saying
option
about
either.
fighting eminent domain.
The cost would be
If you would choose to not
astronomical.
take the 900,000, and then they said, that's all right, we're going to take it, do you have a challenge, or is that there's no challenging in eminent domain?
In most cases, the only challenge is the value of the property.
Okay.
Eminent domain is, it's a very intrusive power that's given to government to take private property, or in this case municipal property, but private property as well. And when a municipal body, a public body that has the power of eminent domain, whenever they exercise that power, usually the only fight that is there is about
money.
It's about what the value ultimately is. And matter of fact, the process is bifurcated into two pieces. The first piece is their ability to take it.
Okay.
They simply file a paper in the courthouse, and it's taken, it's exercised. From there, then the only argument, and the long arguments over eminent domain really, are over valuation. You say your property's worth this much, they say it's worth this much.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
I just have one more comment. My name's Julio Mara. Just one more comment. So I guess just to reiterate what my wife said with regards to displacing a community without that pool for all the activities that take place. And I know you guys said that you would table this decision, and I highly recommend that, to table the decision of selling until there's a solid plan in place as to what you plan on doing with the community pool and displacing all the individuals that utilize that community pool. And what I'm saying is that before you accept an offer, that plan be in place. To say, all right, pool's no longer going to be there, but we have a solid plan in place where camps are going to be taking place.
Know that the Turnpike has got a time clock on it.
They have a time clock, but it's just for the sale. I mean, they haven't told you guys specifically, all right, this is the final offer, you take this, or
Yes,
we're coming.
they have.
Yes, they have.
Yes, they have.
But see, that's not what we're hearing right now. We're hearing that the land
I
is
told you,
for.
we asked if we could keep it open another year. They said no.
I'm
We
getting
we were
kinda
going to
mixed,
try to get
but-
more money. We found out it was worth less money.
Yeah.
I mean, we have been working on this to try to get the very best deal for the public as possible.
The deal's on the table, and the clock's.
And it's a great deal. The Turnpike is
So
offering
you're
us a great
talking,
deal
I mean,
if
you take
it's going to
you take the
happen.
900,000, right now you've got no money, okay? You're gonna take 900,000, perhaps, if you don't accept the offer, however long that process should take, the eminent domain or whatever, then you end up with, what, half of that? But you,
Maybe.
But you have to have a plan in place to do something about what, I mean, you can't sell and say, we'll come up with something later. That's what I'm getting at. It's unacceptable. You can't sell the land and say, we'll take care of this, and kick it down the road and say, we'll fix this later.
You keep missing the point.
This is the point right
The
here.
Turnpike has given us a deadline.
Yeah, but as you got to do your job as the municipality. To
I've
say,
done my job.
I'm just saying together collectively that you can't accept this offer and say,
If we don't, they take it off the table.
but you should have a little bit of leverage here. It's your land and they want it, right? I mean,
I think we just worked. We
I'm
just we
saying
did work
that-
through
that-
this,
that
sir.
you can't- you
Honestly,
can't-
we really did work through this to do.
I don't
I mean,
think
I'd
you
love
have,
to come to you and
if
say
to
we're going to
say-
get 3.7 million, so we're going to take that and build another pool. But that's not. That
and
would
I'm not
be-
saying build another pool. I'm just saying you have to have a plan. You're gonna sell it and there's no plan in place as to
When
what
the,
you're gonna
when
do.
this whole thing started,
If it's sold, you haven't even decided to sell yet. It's been.
we said to them, can you give us another year with the pool? And they said, yes, this is the year.
So you had this whole year. Where's the plan then for what happens to the displaced community pool, the people that utilize
Which
the
was
pool?
where the conversation. It was allowed to be open until the end of the year, the swim season.
Where's the preliminary plan? Where's the rough
I think the
draft?
preliminary plan, if you were
where's-
listening earlier, was where they're getting together, some of the council members, the mayor, getting together with the other pools in a community, and we as a council and a community funding them
That's a
some
plan to
monies.
get a plan going.
Correct, monies to create you folks to be able to use a pool as
To
you
answer,
did.
to answer the next season, for next year. I mean, how much
This
further in
season, yeah,
advance
this
is-
this
is a year
season's
in
like
advance?
the same as any other one. It's
I just
open.
hope that
It's not
that-
changing. It's not going to close early. The pool is going to stay as is for this season, no matter what we do.
But you're going to accept this offer, and I'm hoping that, because you're going to get this funding, this money, and there's got to be something in place. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Something in place for the community.
Hi, Frank Pekarik, Mayberry Drive. You had mentioned, Mr. Little, you had mentioned that there was a second evaluation that you obtained for $450,000. Who ordered the appraisal? Was that done through council, or was that done by the Turnpike?
It was an option we had under the agreement where the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission would pay for a second appraisal.
So they pay, it was their appraiser?
No.
Okay. Who chose the appraiser?
I looked at, I talked to several realtors here in Monroeville and asked them who would be the best commercial realtor to evaluate a piece of property like that, and two or three realtors told me that I know Valbridge would be the best one, and that's who evaluated it.
Okay. Okay. Is there an option to get another appraisal?
If council wanted to go in that direction, they certainly could, but they would have to pay for it.
Okay.
If you remember, and I think council will back me up on this, we asked, even though when the Turnpike gave us that option, we thought we could get more than the 900,000. That's being honest. And they come back at basically half that.
Right.
I just find it curious that the appraisal, the official appraisal was $450,000, and the Turnpike arbitrarily offered $900,000. Where did they get the number from?
If you recall, and if you've talked to anybody that's ever had their property bought by the state or the Turnpike or any of them, they usually give more than what the property's worth, so there's no argument.
Sure, but is
And
there
I
an
think that's
evaluation to that? Do they double it? Do they?
No,
you know?
They use appraisals.
Okay, so somebody appraised that property for that amount of money then?
Yes.
So it could be fair that council gets another appraisal.
We did.
And it's $1.5 million.
We already did. We did get a second appraisal.
They actually
Right, but-
offered a
And it
million.
came in at 450.
I understand, but then what you're saying is there's one out there for 900,000. Who's to say that there's not another one that can be 1.2 million?
No one said that it came in at 900,000. We're saying our appraisal came in at 450. They never, he did not
yes.
say that they
Yes,
got
Miss-
an appraisal
No,
for 9.
no, I'm
He said
saying
it
that
comes
they-
off of appraisals. Maybe they got a 452 and said, we're going to give you 9, just so it's easy, clean, let's get it done.
Right, but I
don't
think
know
we
that.
need to know the answer to that question, don't we?
If they came and they were even close to what they were offering, I would have said, let's try and bump them higher. I'd love to negotiate.
Mr. Harvey brought up a good point. I don't
Okay.
think we were all talking, but we asked for $1 million, and what did they do?
956.
956.
Okay,
We said, can you give us $1 million? They said no. Didn't even stutter.
okay. I'm curious as to where the number came from, you know?
It was negotiated, kind of.
Kind of.
Which
Well-
number, wait.
Their number.
Here's the confusion.
Yeah, their number.
Which-
I understand
which you
where the
asked.
450 came from. That came
Okay.
from a qualified appraiser.
Right.
I get that. But did they have, it was mentioned possibly that they had an appraisal.
They always have to have an appraisal. They actually are under very close watch by the state as to how they fund property. And so their funding is based on appraisals. Now, what they do, there's a certain value to them above the appraised value to stay out of the eminent domain process, quite frankly.
So they,
Because it's probably
So that's where,
expensive.
that's
They
where
put their
the,
legal fees
that's
in.
where the premium
Correct.
comes in if you're willing to sell it to them as opposed to making them take the legal steps to condemn it.
right. I just think for transparency reasons, I'd like to know what their evaluation was.
Maybe you
and
could
then
write
how
to
did
know
they
that.
get to the, what's that?
Yeah, they have not disclosed that to the municipality.
No.
Don't you think that they have a right to?
No,
Or
that's
they
why,
should- they
that's
should
why
disclose
we
that?
asked for an independent appraisal.
appraiser.
We were hoping
They
it would
pay
come in way higher.
Right.
And then we could negotiate
Right.
that.
But it seems to me
But it
that
didn't
there's not
happen.
clarity on what the property is worth at this point. We
There
have
is-
one appraisal, we have one value maybe of,
Well, no, that was done very
No,
professionally.
we did.
I mean, but these people are very reputable. They're not going to put their name on a document.
right, I don't question that. I mean, but an appraisal is not a fact-based document.
But it's
an
not even
evaluation.
close.
It's somebody's
Yeah, but it's not
somebody's
gonna be-
opinion.
It's not going to be.
It's
nobody
not going to
double the
triple.
value.
I mean, who's going to triple
Well,
an
it sounds
appraisal?
like it might have doubled,
No.
But he just
Turnpike
explained
is
to you
pulling
why.
but we don't know what the numbers are. I'm saying,
The
don't
numbers
you think there
are-
should be a breakdown?
Whatever
The
they offer
numbers
you.
are what they just told you.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to accept that, that's your problem.
No. What I'm questioning is why can't somebody say, the Turnpike appraised the property for $650,000?
Yeah, but I can't.
Then we
The
threw a couple
Turnpike
$100,000
appraisal
in.
originally was $450,000 on
No, it
our
wasn't.
end. They turned around.
It was
We
not,
asked-
sir.
Yeah, what?
That was
That was
our
appraisal.
council's independent appraisal.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
That's not the Turnpike's appraisal.
Well, the Turnpike appraised it at whatever it is, and they're giving us
I'm asking what that,
$56,000.
wait, and I'm asking.
And where are you
why
going
don't-
with this? Where are you going with this?
Why can't we know what the number is? Why
Well, we
can't?
don't even know what the number is.
Wait a minute.
Exactly.
I mean, from the Turnpike. You're
I'm just,
asking-
that's why I'm
so
asking
tired
you.
of listening to you. You're just not making any sense.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
Talk to people?
look at me.
Yeah.
Look at me.
Yes, sir.
Everybody's gonna calm down or I'll clear the room.
Yes.
The reason why,
Everybody calm down, that's council included.
and
Everybody clear?
the reason, we tried to keep the process short rather than keep paying for things and paying for things and paying for things.
Sure.
and paying for things. So when the Turnpike said, go ahead and get your appraiser, we'll pay for it. I mean, what a deal. We
Right.
got to pick the guy, they paid for it.
Right.
Okay? And it came in around 450, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They made an offer to us, and then we said $1 million, and they turned it down and said
956.
956, or whatever it is. I didn't think there was, in my opinion, there was a lot more to do than that. They were already, our appraiser, we were already doubling our money.
Sure, I understand. It makes perfect sense to me. I just
So
find
the
it.
the question you're asking then, let me see if I can get to the part two. So your question is, you want to know what the Turnpike think that it's worth?
Correct, because they obviously,
know.
maybe they think it's worth more than what we think it's worth, or what the third-party appraiser thought
Yeah,
it was
but the
worth for
appraiser
some
was
reason.
our
So you're
guy.
concerned
Right.
that they're going to get a deal that's something that's worth
Yes,
much,
I'm
much more.
concerned that there's A, B, and we haven't
We asked for C,
investigated.
but we asked
haven't
for C.
investigated C.
Do you understand that we did ask for C? We asked for over $1 million and they said no.
I do understand, but if I was going to appraise my own property,
Yeah.
and I had one appraisal for $100,000,
Mhm.
and then I hired another appraiser, and he came in at $500,000, I would look at that and say,
Well, then you'd get
What's
another
the-
appraisal.
I would,
Okay.
because I would say, wait a second, how could it be worth
So do you want
this
us to
or
spend
this?
your money and get another appraisal? Is that what you're asking for?
Because they're not going to pay for the next one.
I understand.
And that's
I
why we
understand.
asked if we could get an
I'm
appraisal.
asking for transparency
From who?
from council and the Turnpike.
Well, we gave you ours.
But we don't,
We don't have nothing else to tell you.
right, and I think that's the problem, is we should know what the numbers are.
We only can tell you what we're told the numbers are.
I'm
I
telling
don't
you
know
what the
that we
numbers
asked that
are.
question.
In comes the Turnpike and says, we need a chunk of your property. We'll buy the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we said, how about $1 million? They said, no. We said, how about you pay for the appraiser? And they said, you pick the appraiser, we'll pay for it. We picked our own appraiser. It's like hiring your own football coach.
I understand.
To make sure.
And
Right.
they came in at half the amount of money that the Turnpike offered us. I don't know how long you hold out on that kind of deal, but if somebody offered you $300,000 for your house and it was only appraised at $150,000, would you take it?
That's why I said that earlier. If someone asked me,
You know.
offered me twice my house, I'd have to consider.
And the other, and the other
I'm
piece
not
that-
gonna.
If you
we're
were
going
going
in
to
a
lose,
circle
if
there.
you were going to lose the property
We're
anyway.
not- yeah.
Well, you-
I understand. I
I know
understand
what
your
you're
point.
asking for.
I
You
just
want the Turnpike's appraisal, so go ask them.
Well, that's not my.
I don't know what else to tell you.
I mean, respectfully, I would think that that's council's job to
No,
ask
we
that.
already.
No, it isn't. That's your job.
We already
You
did.
want the appraisal from the Turnpike, then you have to contact the
We
Turnpike
should end this.
and ask
Yes.
them what they
Yeah, Greg,
appraised it.
let's move on, Greg.
That's not our
Okay,
position.
let's move on.
This is enough already.
Thank you, sir.
Can we get to the
Appreciate
point
your
of making
question.
a motion to table this and be done with it, please?
Thank you. Please, somebody do something.
I'd be happy to make the motion.
I have nothing to say.
Well, we got to,
We can do that, we can jump up to it.
Yes, let's
Yeah,
please.
do it.
Can we do that?
Do it.
I'd be
Yes.
happy to make a motion.
And I'll second that motion.
All in favor, go to the roll
What's the
call,
motion?
whatever.
Roll call,
I'm
Sharon.
going to make a motion to table this off the agenda for this evening.
table this.
Table
The Bel Air pool issue,
The ordinance.
the ordinance.
The ordinance to.
Be-
There a second. I'm not.
Yes.
There was a
The
second.
ordinance for the municipality of Monroeville authorizing to enter an agreement to sell the property of Bel Air swimming pool. Make a motion to table it for this evening.
And there's a
I
second.
second the motion.
Roll call, Sharon.
Mrs. Gato?
Aye.
Mr. Poach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. John?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
All right.
It is
There you
tabled.
go.
I promise it won't be long. My name is Jeanette Beagle. I am a resident of Monroeville, also on the board at Park Swim Club. And I just wanted to take a second to thank you all for the support of our mini-meet. Tell you a little bit about it. This is a meet that We have 12 different pools from the Monroeville municipality, the surrounding communities that come. This is for our 8 and under swimmers. These are the little guys that don't get the glory and all the other meets, so this is their day, and we want to make sure that we extend an invite to everybody. It's Saturday, July 20th at Park Swim Club. It is really a lot of fun to watch these kids get excited and swim their little laps in the pools, but we thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Jeanette?
Yes, sir.
I do have a question.
Sure.
We have been discussing opportunities for some of the local community pools. And do you think your pool would be open to something like that?
I don't know what the details of the opportunities are to be discussed, and I don't want to speculate on anything. I think any pool would welcome any influx of cash because as private pools, we don't have a lot of money that comes in regularly. But I think it would need to be something that is discussed, the details. What are you looking for? What are we looking for? Finding a give and take thing. But I can't right now say, yes, we would accept this, no, we won't. It needs, I mean, the whole board, we'd have to have a discussion about it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have to come up with a proposal.
Yeah, I mean, it's still early in the process to say yes or no, but we're always open to sit down and talk.
Thank you.
And you're welcome.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Once